It looks like Samsung might be planning something big for its next flagship phone, the Galaxy S26 Ultra. According to a new leak, Samsung could be making a major change to the phone's camera system, one that could seriously improve its photo quality. If this rumor is true, the next Ultra phone might offer one of the best smartphone cameras we've seen so far. The leak comes from a well-known source on Weibo and claims that the Galaxy S26 Ultra will feature a 200-megapixel camera sensor made by Sony. Now, at first, that might not sound too different because the current Galaxy S25 Ultra also has a 200-megapixel camera. But here's what makes this new sensor special. It's said to be a 1.1-inch sensor, which is larger than the 1.3-inch sensor used in the S25 Ultra. Why does sensor size matter? Well, a bigger sensor allows more light to enter the camera. This usually means brighter, sharper, and clearer photos, especially in low-light situations. It also helps capture more detail in high-resolution shots and improves color accuracy. So if Samsung does switch to this larger Sony sensor, it could mean better night photos, sharper zoom shots, and overall improved image quality. What makes this rumor even more interesting is that Samsung has always used its own camera sensors in its Galaxy Ultra phones. This would be the first time Samsung uses a Sony-made 200-megapixel sensor, which is a big change. At the moment, Sony hasn't even officially announced a 200-megapixel sensor for smartphones. So if this leak is accurate, Samsung might be the first phone company to launch a device using it. If this happens, it would be a big win for both companies. Sony would finally enter the ultra-high megapixel phone market, and Samsung would get a new and powerful piece of hardware to offer in its next flagship phone. To give you a better idea, this rumored 1.1-inch sensor would be just a little smaller than the massive 1-inch sensors used in phones like the Oppo Find X8 Ultra and the Xiaomi 13 Pro. Those phones are known for having amazing cameras. So if Samsung gets close to that sensor size, we can expect major improvements in photo quality. It's worth remembering that many Samsung fans were disappointed with the Galaxy S25 series because the camera upgrades were pretty minor. So if this new leak turns out to be true, it might be Samsung's way of making up for those small changes and finally offering something that feels like a real upgrade. However, it's still just a rumor for now. The Galaxy S26 Ultra isn't expected to be revealed until early next year, so there's still plenty of time for plans to change. While earlier leaks have mentioned a 200-megapixel camera for the S26 Ultra, none of them talked about a larger Sony sensor until now. Even though it's not confirmed, it does make sense. People want better low-light photos, clearer zoom shots, and more natural-looking images, and a bigger sensor is a good way to make those improvements. And when paired with Samsung's smart software and AI tools, the Galaxy S26 Ultra could become one of the best camera phones out there. Samsung has surprised us before. Take the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Z Flip 7, for example. Not many people expected major changes, but Samsung delivered noticeable improvements in both software and hardware. So it's possible the company is listening to customer feedback and planning to make the S26 Ultra a standout device. For now, we'll have to wait and see if these rumors are true. But if camera quality is important to you, especially when it comes to night photography, zoom performance, and super high-resolution pictures, this might be a phone worth waiting for. The Galaxy S26 Ultra could end up being one of the most exciting smartphones of the year if Samsung really does bring this new camera technology to the table. Until then, we'll keep an eye out for more leaks and updates.